Hi, and welcome to Centered 24/7, Leading from the Eye of the Storm. I am Ragini Michaels. I'm the originator of this course. And if you and I have not met before, let me answer the question that almost everyone asks, which is, how do you pronounce your name? Okay, it is pronounced Ragini with the ah sound from the heart. Ragini. I was given this name in 1977 by a guru I was studying with at that time. It means blissful melody. And after a certain number of years, I got kind of tired of having two separate lives, a spiritual one and a material one. So I decided to integrate the two and make Ragini part of my legal name, which is now legally Ragini Elizabeth Michaels. So there you have the story behind it. Now, let's jump in and let me tell you a little bit more about how this course is structured and what it's about. So there are 4 parts here, and there will be 4 videos that you will receive. The one assumption that I have made about you as the listener here and the viewer is that you either are on or are in the process of exploring a practice in mindfulness, presence, consciousness, meditation, or contemplation, something along those lines. The reason why I'm making that assumption is because this course is truly designed to help you leverage your degree of mindfulness and presence that you have to a new height or depth of understanding and practical application. So that's who this is for. And let's dive into the first part, which is discussing the 3 unavoidable daily challenges to your mindfulness and presence. Now, I've been practicing meditation and contemplation for decades, and these 3 challenges still arise in my journey every day, sometimes 10 times, sometimes 150 times, sometimes on a bad day, 1,000 times. So let's take a look at what they are and how Centered 24/7 can help you with them. So the first challenge that we meet is those times when we lose our calm, which is highly valued and is a wonderful benefit of being mindful and present. However, when we lose our calm, it's usually because we've gotten ruffled, lost our cool, and are caught in some kind of emotional turmoil inside. The problem with this is that if we want to live consciously and lead consciously, we need to stay calm and clear, which is essential to our being able to do that. And secondly, it's also very essential if you want to continue your quest to find the deeper meaning and the purpose in your own journey. Generally speaking, there are 4 primary experiences that really can cause us to lose our cool. And these are uncertainty, which you know about, complexity, which continues to keep growing apparently in our modern age, the sense of chaos that many of us feel is present, just teetering on a precipice somewhere around us, and it's going to fall off and hit us right in the totality of our lives. So there's a lot of energy around chaos. And the 4th element is extreme polarization, which is very heightened at this moment. But I have to say, I think if we look at human history honestly, extreme polarization almost seems to be an earmark of the human experience. So I'm going to talk a lot more about that because this course really is about polarization and expanding your understanding of it and your freedom to manage it. Now, if you're like me, when I lose my calm, I want my mindfulness practice to trigger something in me so that I can come back to the moment. But if you're also like me, there are lots of times when my mindfulness isn't broad enough or fast enough or consistent enough to save the day. And so I struggle because I want to get back to my calm, but I can't. And of course, that makes me even less calm. So when you regain your calm, Centered 24/7 is about showing you how to do that. If you look at this little cat, you see his head is lifted upward, his eyes are focused on something above him, and it is a beautiful butterfly, which is obviously going to be in motion because that's what butterflies do. So what you're going to learn in Centered 24/7 is a life-changing worldview that once your eyes rest upon it and you embrace it, you can learn to recreate your calm in less, if you will, than a New York minute. My friend said to me the other day, Ragini, do you know what a New York minute actually is? And I said, well, I think it just means very fast. And he said, well, here's the definition. It's the time between when the light turns to green and the person behind you honks their horn. I thought it was very funny, so I thought I would share it with you. In any case, what you're going to do in Centered 24/7 is learn how to stay centered in the presence of emotional turmoil without having to wait for it to subside. And this is the earmark, the goal, the reason for participating in Centered 24/7. The second challenge that you will meet daily is not only losing your calm, but losing your center. And this can be extremely disrupting, obviously. When you lose your center, it's a little bit worse than losing your calm because it often erupts into what you see this woman doing. It becomes obvious to other people, which can be very embarrassing if you are someone who proposes living consciously and leading consciously. So when you lose your calm and centered position, you really have allowed that conscious perspective that allows you to have that calm and generates it to get away from you. This is normal. It happens to everyone. It's not something to get too upset about. And yet, if you're like me, when I lose my center, I tend to often feel really sad and engage in one of those human emotions that nobody wants to experience, which is helplessness. I feel a little heartbroken because I haven't kept my commitment to being present and centered. So this is usually one of the experiences that we have, and that causes me to want to regain my center pretty quickly. So there are three things that you want to help you regain your center. One is you want the clarity to forgive yourself for having lost it in the first place. We give intellectual head nods to knowing that it's normal, but it really is normal. It is absolutely the course of the experience to lose your center again and again and again. In fact, it's how you find it again because you lost it. So this is when you want the clarity to forgive yourself for having lost your center. You want the power to return to your center because you have determined it to be the most valuable position for you to live your life from. And the third thing that you want to gain again is the freedom to play your role in the world from the wisdom that is granted you when you do live in the here and now, which happens when you come back to your center. So that's the second thing. Now, the third challenge that you'll meet every day is when you lose your presence. And this is a very interesting one. I liken losing your presence to the experience of a musician who loses his focus and steps out of the orchestral flow. That can be extremely painful and humiliating for the musician as well as for anyone listening. And the same kind of thing can happen when you are out to do conscious living and conscious leadership. In a flash of an eye, you can find yourself arguing for a return to a dead past or to an imagined future, and here's the issue, that ignores the present. Because we do know that the future, the next moment, comes out of the one that you're living now. And this is the power of being able to stay present to the now. So when you lose your presence to the current moment, what can happen internally, emotionally, is it can feel like a great sense of failure. And because you've lost sight of the current situation as the most effective starting point for your next action. And I chose this picture because if these two dancers lose their presence to the moment, you can tell that they are going to have some kind of difficult, unpleasant disaster occur. And you know many artists speak about that when their attention wanders from what they are engaged in and something devastating can happen because of that. So how do you regain your presence? Well, this is when you want to be aware that you have emotional turmoil going on the inside. You want to have the world view that will immediately expand your consciousness in the presence of this emotional distress. And you want the freedom to respond, influence, and lead rather than react. And of course, Centered 24/7 helps you to regain all three and meet these challenges in the way that will help you the most in managing them, because you're not going to get rid of them. They are part of the journey, and until we can manage to stay centered actually 24/7 and watch all this happening, we're going to continue to find ourselves caught in these three challenges every day. So Centered 24/7 is the worldview that shows you how to manage these three challenges. It's a perspective that can stop reactivity in its tracks. It honors the tenets of modern leadership, but adds in an ancient attitude that is marked with practical wisdom, which is what America is most noted for bringing to the spiritual search. Practicality. It must be practical. And Centered 24/7 gives you a better way to manage the decisions, the uncertainty, and the chaos that many of us feel are just sitting there impinging and waiting to fall on top of our head or heart, or however you might think of it. So Centered 24/7 will help you increase the power and your presence for making decisions mindfully. And this is important because decision-making is an enormous part of daily life. We have to make hundreds of decisions every day. So will it increase your awareness of it, your presence to it, and the power to make them mindfully. And it will free your decision-making from the unavoidable pull of polarization and emotional turmoil. And I'm going to be talking a lot about polarization and the fact that we cannot not polarize. So I'm going to share with you in this training that there is a way to neutralize your own polarization and redirect its energy in a different direction of your choice. So all of this will allow you to stay more present to the moment in the midst of this flow of constant change and the emotional turmoil that we seem to have in relation to that change. But most important, Centered 24/7 shows you how to harness the power of your brain's neuroplasticity. We now know that the brain can learn far past the young age we used to think was the only time it could do that. Centered 24/7 will give you what you need to generate new neural pathways that can carry this new transformative perception and make it available to you much more easily and much more at your will and call. So, here, a leap is required, my friends. The next transformation of your personal conscious awareness and the world around you is here. I invite you to explore it. I invite you to learn how to apply your mindfulness and presence to an expanded dimension of understanding and action that impacts daily life. And I'm going to talk a lot about that in the third video. And as you do this, it will free a greater alignment of your heart and your mind and your soul, if you will, to come together and transform and help you continue to stay in alignment with this new perspective. Okay, let's move on to part 2 and learn a little bit more about who I am, how Centered 24/7 came into being, and why my journey may have some real relevance for you in your journey. Okay, thanks a lot for being here for this. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Much love.